Okay, so we're all hearing about these insane AI breakthroughs, like every single day, right? But what if I told you that behind all those splashy headlines, there's a hidden power structure being built, a secret map that really decides who wins? And today, we're going to lay that map out for you.
So, who really controls the future of AI? I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? And spoiler alert, it's not just about who has the slickest algorithm. Nope, it's way deeper than that. It's about who controls the fundamental building blocks, the raw power, the money, and the massive infrastructure.
And this whole hidden network, it has a name. It's called the AI orchestration layer. Now, I know that sounds kind of technical, but think of it like a secret power map. It's this complex web of deals, investments, and dependencies that really determines who wins and who doesn't. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this explainer.
All right, first things first, we've got to meet the titans. These are the absolute giants of the industry. I'm talking about companies so massive, the sheer scale and resources create the foundation for this entire new ecosystem. It's like they have their own gravity and they're pulling everyone else into their orbit.
Let's start with Nvidia. Get this, a market value of $4.5 trillion. That is just a staggering number. They are, without a doubt, the pivotal hardware giant. Why? Because they supply the specialized chips, the GPUs, that are basically the powerful engines, the absolute lifeblood of every single modern AI model out there.
And then you've got Microsoft coming in hot at $3.9 trillion. They are the dominant force in cloud and software, and they've woven themselves into every single layer of this thing. They're using their massive Azure platform to push AI services out to the entire globe.
And of course, there's OpenAI. Now, their valuation is $500 billion. And you might be thinking, hey, that's a lot smaller than the other two. And you're right. But they are arguably the central hub, the main node for the AI models themselves. They're the ones orchestrating the actual intelligence that literally everyone wants a piece of.
Okay, now look at this chart. This is where it all starts to click. Just check out the massive difference in scale here. The hardware and cloud giants, Nvidia and Microsoft, they absolutely dwarf OpenAI. And that huge financial gap, that's the key. That right there is the key to understanding the power dynamics we're about to dive into.
So we've met the key players. Now for the fun part. Let's start connecting the dots. We're going to follow the three most critical flows that create this hidden map: the flow of chips, the flow of money, and the flow of cloud power.
First up, the chip supply. Let's be clear, everything in AI starts with the hardware. You just can't train or run these gigantic models without an insane amount of computing power. It's pretty simple. If you control the chip supply, you basically control the speed of innovation for the entire industry.
And you can see this dependency playing out right here. Nvidia isn't just the main supplier for OpenAI. They're also fueling the up-and-comers like xAI, Figure AI, and Mistral. Meanwhile, you've got AMD planning this massive GPU deployment just for OpenAI. And even the cloud giants like Oracle, they're dropping tens of billions on Nvidia chips. It really comes down to this. A tiny handful of companies are holding all the keys to the kingdom.
Okay, part two. Let's follow the money. This is the second critical flow. And these huge investments, they're not just about throwing cash around. No, these are super strategic moves designed to lock in access, secure influence, and grab a direct stake in where AI is headed.
And here's where it gets really wild. The same companies making the hardware are also becoming the biggest investors. You've got Nvidia pouring money into OpenAI, while at the very same time they're funding OpenAI's potential rivals, xAI, Figure AI, and Mistral. And look at AMD, granting OpenAI these massive stock options. This isn't just normal business, you guys. This is a very calculated strategy to weave themselves into the very DNA of the AI world.
And that brings us to our third and final piece of the puzzle, the cloud deals. Because let's face it, having these incredibly powerful models is totally useless if you can't actually deploy them to millions of people. And that's where the cloud platforms become absolutely non-negotiable partners.
And the sheer scale of these deals is, well, it's hard to even wrap your head around. Just take the partnership between OpenAI and Oracle. Reports say it's worth over $300 billion. We're not talking about just renting a few servers here. This is a deep, fundamental, strategic alliance built on a mountain of infrastructure.
So what you get is this perfect, almost symbiotic relationship. OpenAI has the models that are hungry for an insane amount of compute power, and Oracle has the massive cloud infrastructure to feed that hunger. At this kind of scale, they literally can't succeed without each other.
And hey, it's not just Oracle. Microsoft's Azure platform is an absolute beast in this space, integrating both OpenAI and Nvidia tech. And on top of that, we're seeing these new specialized cloud providers pop up, folks like CoreWeave and Nebius. All of them together are forming the essential backbone that the entire AI industry relies on.
Okay, so we've followed the chips, we've followed the money, and we've followed the cloud. Now it's time to zoom out and look at the big picture that all these connections have painted for us. It's a whole new structure of power.
What's emerged is something you could call an AI triumvirate. That's right, the power in this industry is now consolidated across three deeply interconnected pillars. First, the hardware giants making the chips. Second, the cloud platforms providing the scale. And third, the model orchestrators like OpenAI that put it all together. And here's the bottom line. You have to be a major player in at least one of these pillars to even have a chance at competing.
So why does any of this matter? Why should you care about this power map? Because it completely changes the rules of the game. The race for AI dominance, it's not being fought where we all thought it was.
This quote just nails it perfectly. The main bottleneck is no longer model quality, it's strategic partnerships. Think about that. Just a few years ago, it was all about who had the smartest algorithm. But today, the real roadblock, the real bottleneck is having the right partnerships. It's about securing your hardware supply, locking in your cloud deals, and getting the right investors. It's all about access and alliances now.
And what this creates is a really powerful dependency. You know, for a brilliant startup like Mistral or xAI, just having amazing tech isn't enough anymore. They're forced to strategically align themselves with a titan like Nvidia just to get their hands on the chips and the cash they need to even stay in the game.
Which leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. When this power map is already so clearly drawn by these interconnected giants, is there any room left? Is there any space for a truly new, independent player to come in and just rip up the map and start over? I don't know the answer, but that right there, that's the challenge that is going to define the entire next chapter of AI.